Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be focusing on subtracting mixed number without regrouping. Previously we have done adding mixed numbers without regrouping. Now we're going to focus on subtracting and it's on without regrouping. So let's start. Our learning objective for today is we are going to subtract a mixed number from another mixed number without regrouping. Our step to success for today are, the first one is we are going to minus the wholes, which sometimes we refer to as the dad. Step 2, find a lowest common multiple. Step 3, make the denominators the same. Step 4, minus the fractional part. Sometimes we refer them to as the kid and the mom. And the final step for today is we need to simplify if we can simplify. Let's jump right ahead to example 1. 2 wholes, 3 out of 4 minus 1 whole, 1 out of 8. Now, for the first example, I'm going to show you a pictorial example, and then when we do example 2 and 3 later, it's just abstract. So let's sketch these fractions. So we have 2 wholes, 3 out of 4. Let's just use a chocolate bar to represent this fraction. I'm gonna use red. So I have my 2 wholes right here. And the fractional part. So that is 1 whole, 1 whole. 2, 3, 4. There are 4 parts in each of the chocolate bar. Why is that? Because the denominator is 4. The chocolate bars are all divided into 4 parts. I'm just going to shade all because we have 2 wholes. And then for this one, I'm going to shade 3 because the fractional part is 3 out of 4. Next, we're gonna minus with 1 whole, 1 out of 8. I'll choose purple for that one. So we have our 1 whole here. The denominator is 8, which means that we need to divide the chocolate bar into 8 equal pieces. So for here we have 1 whole. I'm just going to shade all. And then here we have 1 out of 8. So this is how it looks like in pictorial form. So first thing first, we need to minus the wholes, which are the dad. So we are focusing on the wholes now. So we have 2 wholes minus 1 wholes. We have 2 minus 1 gives us 1. So we are left with 1 whole. So 2 minus 1, we left with 1 whole. Then, focusing on the fractional parts, we have 3 out of 4 minus 1 out of 8. Now, notice that the denominators are not the same. The denominators are different. So we have to find a lowest common multiple. So for some of you, you can directly see this. We only need to change one of the fractions. But for some of you to be on the safe side, you can list the two denominators and find the common multiple. So we have a multiple of 4 right here. We have 4, 8, 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. I'm just going to stop right there. And then next, I'm going to list out the multiples of 8. So we have 8. And then 2 times 8 is 16. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 times 8 is 32. Then we need to find the lowest common multiple. That is the first one that occurs, which represents the lowest common multiple. So can you spot a common multiple between 4 and 8? Yes, there is. So there is 8. So which means that you need to change the denominator to 8. Now you only need to change one of the fractions because the second fractional part is already having the denominator as 8. So this is already 1 out of 8. So I'm just going to bring the 1 down. I'm bringing the minus down. Now how do we change from 4 to 8? What do we multiply it with? So in order to go from 4 to 8, we multiply it by 2, which means that you need to multiply the denominator by 2. Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. Now, what happens to the fractional, what happens to the pictorial form here? So let's just take our 3/4 here, 3 out of 4. So we need to divide each part into 2 because we are multiplying it by 2 so that the parts becomes 8. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now the parts is already 8. So this fraction now becomes, let me just erase that. This fraction is now 6 out of 8 because if you can see here, the shaded parts now become 6. Same like the numerator here where you need to multiply it by 2. 3 times 2 gives us 6. So that is step 2 and step 3. Next, we need to minus the fractional parts, which are the kid and the mom, which are these part right here. So we're going to ignore the whole now because we're done with that. So we can minus the fractional parts now because the denominators are the same. So 6 minus 1 gives us 5 and 8 stays 8. So that is step 4. Step 5, simplify if can. Now you need to focus on the fractional parts. Ask yourself, can you reduce, can you simplify the fractional parts? It's not a matter of odd or even number. It's a matter of if there is a common factor for you to divide them with. So for here, the fraction is 5 out of 8. It cannot be simplified further, so the answer stays as 1 whole 5 out of 8. Example 2, subtract 2 wholes 1 out of 3 from 3 wholes 5 out of 9. Now let me ask you, what do we subtract? Do we subtract 2 wholes 1 minus 3 minus 3 wholes 5 out of 9? Or 3 wholes 5 out of 9 minus 2 wholes 1 out of 3. The keyword is right here, from. So the keyword is from. So from 3 wholes 5 out of 9, which means that 3 wholes 5 out of 9 comes first. Then you subtract it with 2 wholes 1 out of 3. Step 1, minus the wholes, which are the dot. So now we're going to focus on the wholes. 3 minus 2 gives us 1. So that is step 1. Step 2, find the lowest common multiple between the two denominators, which are 9 and 3. So for some of you, again, you do not need to do this if you already know. If you can do it in your head, but for some of you, if you need to be on the safe side, then you can always list down the multiple and find the lowest common multiple. This also helps you to practice with your multiplication skills. So let's just list down multiples of 9. So multiples of 9 are 9. 2 times 9 is 18. 3 times 9 is 27. I'm just going to stop right there. And then moving on to multiples of 3, we have 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 3 is 12. I'm just going to stop right there. Now we need to find the lowest common multiple, which is the first number that appears that is common. So I spot one number here, which is 9. So that is step 2. Moving on to step 3, make the denominators the same. We have found a common multiple, which is 9. So we need to make the denominators the same and choosing the lowest common multiple as the new denominator, which is 9. Notice that we only need to change one of the fraction, which is 1 out of 3 and not 5 out of 9 because the denominators are already the same. It's already 9. So we're just going to bring the 5 down and then we're bringing the minus down. Next, we need to change the other fraction. How do we get from 3 to 9? What do we do? So 3 times what gives you 9? You can refer to your multiples list right here. So we have a 9 in multiple of 3, and that is on the 1, 2, 3. That is on the third multiple of 3. We have a 9, which means that 3 times 3 gives 9. So you have to multiply the denominator by 3 to get a 9. Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So 1 times 3 on the numerator gives 3. Oops, I am meant to use a black ink. Okay, there you go. So now that the denominators are the same, so we are done with step 3. Then step 4, you can minus the fractional parts now, which sometimes we refer to as the kid and the mom, bringing the wholes just below. Then you can minus the fractional part. So 5 minus 3 gives 2 out of 9. So that is step 4. Step 5, simplify if can. Focus on the fractional parts. 2 out of 9. Can you simplify 2 out of 9? Can you reduce it further? Think of can you divide them with the same number. So if you cannot, then that's it. That is the most reduced, that is the most that is the most smallest fraction that you can get to. The answer stays as 1 whole 2 out of 9. Example 3, subtract 1 whole 3 out of 4 from 3. Now, notice that the second number is not in fraction form. It is a whole. We have 3 wholes. So this is written down as 3 wholes minus 1 whole 3 out of 4. So what do we do? So when we have something like this, we need to express the whole as a fraction so we can minus the fraction. So here we have, first thing first, we need to minus the wholes, which is the dad. So we have 3 minus 1 gives us 2. So 2 minus 3 out of 4 because we haven't touched on the fractional parts yet. We only did the first step, which is minus the wholes, which is the dad. 3 minus 1 gives us 2. Then we break down the fractional parts, which is just 3 out of 4. Next, we need to still minus the fractional parts. How do we change this fraction, these 2 wholes, as a fraction? So let's sketch for the 2 wholes and the 3 out of 4 on the side. So 2 wholes minus 3 out of 4. Let's just use a chocolate bar to represent this. So we have our 2 wholes right here. And then we have our 3 out of 4 right here. And that's divided into 4. Now, in order for you to plus or minus a fraction, the denominators has to be the same. So in this context, in this case, this is one expression, so you can take the denominators from the other fraction. So for example, 2 wholes here, you can express it as where the parts are 4. So here we have, let me just shade this part. So we have 3 out of 4. Now this is 2 wholes. So when this is 2 wholes, we shade everything. So this is 1 whole and this is 1 whole. Here is 3 out of 4. Can we express one of the wholes as a fraction? Say for example, if I don't label this with one whole, what is the other way of labeling the chocolate bar? Say I erase like two of them. If I ask you, what's the fraction here? You would automatically tell me this is 2 out of 4. And what if I add another chocolate bar that I need to shade? This is 3 out of 4. Then what if I shade another one? Then you would tell me that this is 4 out of 4, which simply equals to 1. So they are the same. You can represent a whole shaded fraction as a whole or as a fraction itself, which is 4 out of 4. So we take the 4 out of 4 as the fraction. And then this one, we can just label it as one whole, or still 4 out of 4, which is the same. So now we have expressed two whole as one whole, 4 out of 4. And these are still the same. One whole plus one whole gives us two wholes. So now we have one whole, 4 out of 4, minus 3 out of 4. So the second step is not applicable to this example. The third step is not applicable to this example because the denominators are obviously the same. And then moving on to step 4, we can minus the fractional parts now because we have expressed the two wholes in fraction form. So we have one whole, which remains as one whole. Then 4 minus 3 is 1. And 4 as the denominator. So that is step 4. Step 5, simplify if can. Again, look at the fractional part and ask yourself, can you simplify it further? Can you make it smaller? If not, then the answer stays as one whole, 1 out of 4. Now it's time for you to try. Take a piece of paper or your mini whiteboards with your marker pens and try this. Subtract 4 wholes, 1 out of 2 from 7 wholes, 2 out of 3. Follow the S to S one by one. Be mindful about your common multiple and also about your simplification. Let's just quickly recap our learning objective for today. Today we are subtracting a mixed number from another mixed number without regrouping. Our S to S for today are, the first one is we need to minus the wholes which represent the dead. Step 2, we need to find a lowest common multiple. For some of you, it is advisable if you can list down the two multiples of the two denominators and find the lowest common multiple. Step 3, make the denominators the same. Step 4, minus the fractional parts. And step 5, simplify the fractional parts if you need to. Today's exercise is already included in your home learning pack. It's the first page of your SLP for this week. It's on page 68. You can copy the S to S on the top right hand side of the paper. You can use your pen. You can show your working. Please show your working. I need to see your working. If you have any questions, if you have any problems, you can always contact me privately on my WhatsApp. That's all for today. Good luck, everyone. Bye.